Slavoj Žižek's critique of ideology through psychoanalysis and Hegelian dialectics. Slavoj Žižek, a Slovenian philosopher, has revolutionized the way ideology is understood in contemporary thought. Drawing from Jacques Lacan, Karl Marx, and G.W.F. Hegel, Žižek approaches ideology not merely as a set of false ideas imposed on society, but as a deep, unconscious structure embedded in everyday life. His work challenges the traditional notion that ideology is simply false consciousness. Instead, for Žižek, ideology is what shapes how people unconsciously perceive reality itself, even when they are aware of its contradictions. One of Žižek's key contributions is his reinterpretation of Lacanian psychoanalysis in the context of ideology. Lacan's concept of the real is central to this framework. The real, in psychoanalytic terms, is not reality as we experience it but the traumatic, incomprehensible core that resists symbolic representation. Žižek argues that ideology functions to obscure this real, providing a symbolic order that allows individuals to avoid confronting the traumatic inconsistencies in their social and political reality. Žižek's theory of ideological fantasy is especially influential. Unlike traditional Marxist critiques, which focus on material structures or economic inequality, Žižek emphasizes the unconscious fantasies that sustain ideology. For instance, many people today criticize capitalism openly, recognizing its flaws, yet continue to participate in its mechanisms as though no alternative exists. This paradox, for Žižek, demonstrates the power of ideological fantasy. It allows individuals to acknowledge systemic problems without acting to change them, thereby perpetuating the status quo. A common example Žižek uses to illustrate this is the act of recycling. While recycling is seen as a personal, responsible effort to combat environmental destruction, Žižek argues that this small gesture often serves as a way to deflect attention from the larger, structural changes needed to address environmental crises. By engaging in such symbolic acts, individuals avoid confronting the deeper contradictions inherent in capitalist systems of production and consumption. Another critical aspect of Žižek's work is his rejection of the notion of post-ideology. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, many proclaimed the end of ideology, suggesting that humanity had entered an era of pragmatic governance free from ideological conflict. Žižek, however, insists that this belief is itself ideological. By claiming to operate beyond ideology, such systems conceal their ideological underpinnings more effectively. For example, capitalism often presents itself as a neutral economic system, simply reflecting human nature or the natural order of things. Žižek reveals this claim as an ideological illusion. In addition to his use of Lacan, Žižek is heavily influenced by Hegelian dialectics. For Žižek, Hegel's dialectical method is not about resolving contradictions into harmonious syntheses, but about embracing contradiction as the driving force of history. He reinterprets Hegel to argue that ideological systems are sustained by their internal antagonisms. Rather than eliminating these tensions, ideology works by masking or managing them, ensuring the system's reproduction. Žižek's cultural analyses further exemplify his insights into ideology. He frequently examines popular films, literature, and media to reveal the unconscious fantasies they encode. For instance, he has famously analyzed Hollywood films such as The Matrix and The Dark Knight to demonstrate how cultural products reflect and reinforce ideological norms. In The Matrix, for example, the idea of escaping into the real world is itself an ideological fantasy, as it suggests that a simple awakening can resolve systemic contradictions. One of Žižek's most provocative claims is that ideology often functions more effectively when individuals believe they are free from it. He uses the concept of cynicism to explain this phenomenon. In today's society, people are often aware that systems like capitalism are flawed, yet this awareness does not translate into action. Cynical distance, mocking or criticizing the system while continuing to participate in it, becomes a key mechanism by which ideology operates. Ultimately, Zizek's critique of ideology pushes us to confront the contradictions and fantasies that sustain our political and social systems. He challenges us to go beyond symbolic gestures and engage in what he calls the radical act, a fundamental disruption of the ideological order. This act is not a simple reform or adjustment but a profound break that reconfigures the coordinates of reality itself. Zizek's fusion of psychoanalysis, Hegelian dialectics, and Marxist critique offers a powerful framework for understanding the complexities of ideology in the modern world. His work remains a crucial resource for those seeking to challenge the illusions that sustain contemporary systems of power.